videos, it's photos, it's various accounts. It's
correct.
You know, a lot of people talk about Area 51 when they talk about UFOs and such.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the sort of rumors is that at Area 51, they've found and retained UFO materials, spacecraft, etc., that they've studied to understand the technology so that they can introduce it to the US military. Is there any truth in that?
You know, the US government invests a lot of money in research. You have a lot of test facilities where we want to be able to test things outside the prying eyes of our enemies. And so we create these test ranges for that purpose. We do all sorts of things at those test ranges. You know, I cannot comment on what Area 51 might or might not have. I would not be authorized to talk about that. All I can say is what is in the public domain, which people already know, that it's a sensitive test facility where we experiment with things.
Because there was a gentleman, I think, from that worked near Area 51 that's talked a little bit about this publicly, Bob Lazar.
Mm-hmm.
I actually didn't know anything about Bob Lazar until about 2 hours ago. So what exactly is it that Bob Lazar is claiming?
Well, to be fair, you'd probably have to ask Bob. I don't know Mr. Lazar. I've never met him. I've never spoken to him. His claims were that he worked at a particular facility and he had access to and privy to one of the recovered vehicles, crash retrievals, that was allegedly performed by the United States and acquired and brought there. That is what is in the public domain. I cannot and will not comment on Bob Lazar because I don't know him.
So when you say you can't comment on something, and as it relates to something that's classified, have you had to go through some process? There's a book in front of me called Imminent, which is the book you've written. It says Inside the Pentagon's Hunt for UFOs. What is the process when you're writing books like this to get information cleared so that you can share it?
It's like birthing an elephant.
Right.
I can only imagine if I was ever a woman and had to give birth.
Because they probably don't want you talking about these things.
There's a lot of people that don't want us talking about this. But there's also a lot that do. So you go through a process. It's called DOPSR. In the U.S. government, we love our acronyms. It stands for Department of Defense, Office of Pre-Publication and Security Review. As a former defense official, if I want to write anything, it has to go through a review process to make sure it's not classified and I can talk about it. That book went through an exhaustive, almost 1-year process through the government before they allowed me to publish it. And even then, they redacted portions of it. If you look in there, you will see grayed out portions because I wanted Americans to see what some people don't want you to see. And so those redactions are there by the government. And it is a very exhaustive process, but it's important because that's what keeps us legal. That's what keeps people like me not going to jail because I go through the proper procedures. I'm not a leaker. I have never leaked classified information. I will never discuss classified information. An unauthorized disclosure is something that should be avoided at all times. Like I said, I'm a patriot. I'm loyal to my country. I'm not disloyal. So there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. So if you want to write a book and you want to talk about things you're not sure you can talk about, you go through this DOPSR process. And that's exactly what I did. And that's how that book was able to be published. Otherwise, right now, it'd probably be in jail.
Is there a single most compelling piece of evidence that you were witness to as it relates to your belief in UFOs and UAPs?
They were all significant. There wasn't one that said, oh, that's it, because they were all compelling in their own way, whether you can go back to the USS Nimitz incident in 2004 or the Roosevelt incidents in 2014 and 2015. There was so much data. Every time you think you had one that was great, another would come in that was even better. So,
I mean, you've put one on the front cover of this book, though, right?
Yeah.
What is this incident on the front cover of your book?
That is known as the gimbal incident. That is a video that was taken by an F-18, and you can hear the exacerbation. If you listen to the actual video, you can hear the pilots trying to discuss what it is. And then you also hear on it the discussion of, there's a whole fleet of them, look at the ASA, and oh, by the way, it's going 120 knots against the wind at roughly 20,000 feet. So it's not a balloon. And you begin to see this vehicle orientate itself in a 90-degree angle. Now, if this was a plane, like here's your wings, if you go in a 90-degree angle, you lose altitude, right? Because that's how the principles of lift work. That's not the case there.
I think this is the video.
Yep.
fucking drone, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.